boyfriend seems to actively discourage me trying to be healthier. Original post. In the last 1 year, due to my mental health issues and some medication, I've gained a lot of weight, 40 pounds. I'm finally in a place financially and mentally where I'm starting to feel motivated enough to exercise and eat better again, but my boyfriend tries to actively discourage this behavior. If I'm eating healthy or cooking at home, he will stock the fridge up with junk and unhealthy snacks that he knows I tend to binge on. When confronted, he claims they're for him, but he barely touches them. But I end up comfort eating every time I'm anxious simply because they're available easily at home. If I'm going for a run or home workout, he will come up with plans at that very moment. I know it seems like a stretch, but I feel like he has something against me losing weight. I try to bring this up, but he laughed it off, saying I'm being absurd. But this legit happens every single time. Anyone has any explanations for why this might be the case? Edit. If it matters, I'm 24 female and he's 37 male. Now for the top advice before reading the updates. The top 2 things that come to mind are 1. He likes the extra weight but doesn't want to tell you. 2. He's worried about you getting in shape and leaving him. These are complete guesses because I don't know him or the situation. These are just a couple of common things that came to mind. He has previously made fat jokes about my body because I decided to get back in shape. Nothing that hurt me too much, but stuff that made it clear that he thinks I'm overweight. Option 1 is out then. Why are you still with this guy if he was making fat jokes about you? With that, plus the age difference, plus him not wanting you to get in shape, I'm slightly concerned that this isn't the healthiest relationship and that he thinks if you keep the weight, you'll be more likely to believe that you can't do any better than him and stay. A lot of horrible or toxic relationships involve the harmful partner convincing the other partner that they'll never be able to find better in order to keep them from leaving and keep controlling them. I don't know the specifics of your relationship though, so maybe that's off base. I mean, he's been supportive of everything else I do, like taking up a new hobby or excelling at work. I try to ask him outright, but he always seems to brush this particular topic aside. He has stopped with the fat jokes too suddenly. And when we are intimate, his body language has started to feel like he likes the extra flesh. He's getting something out of preventing you from changing your lifestyle. What do you think that is? My guess is he wants your self-esteem kept down to help him get an upper hand on the relationship, or convince you it's too good for you so he gets away with more garbage. He always kept saying earlier that skinny or fat he will always find me attractive. Initially when I'd talk about getting fitter, he would be supportive enough. But when I actually made changes, he suddenly started doing all of this. He says that, but in your other comments he also made fun of your weight. Don't make excuses for him. This is creepy manipulative behavior. Now for the first update. First of all, thanks everyone for your comments and advice. I really appreciate all the responses. After reading a bunch of comments that mostly revolved around him trying to keep me unhealthy and overweight so that I'd always be insecure, and a few people suggesting he liked the extra flesh on me or has a feeder fetish, I had no idea something like this exists till I read it here. I decided to have an outright confrontation, again. At first, he, as usual, tried to laugh it off and said I'm taking myself too seriously. But then I broke down and begged him to clarify things while I was in tears. Because my medication has led to me gaining a lot of weight, but I finally have the motivation to do something about it. After a couple of hours of me crying and reiterating all of this, plus my mental health issues that are worsening due to this, he finally told the truth. It was something I was dreading. He accepted that he has always been fascinated with feederism but never tried it out with any of his exes because they've always been athletic and thought it would be harmless with me because I'm already overweight. I was stunned and heartbroken. I'm not the one to kink shame, but this honestly does seem like something unethical and abusive. If not the fetish in itself, then definitely his approach to it. I completely lost it and yelled at him that how could he even think about doing something like this without me consenting or even knowing about it. He kept on insisting that I look better with a weight and that he wasn't open about it because I'd react exactly how I'm reacting now. He also said he wouldn't be as attracted to me as he is now if I became slimmer. I was speechless after a point. He thinks I'm overreacting. He's asleep right now, but I'm considering this whole relationship. I definitely need a break, if not a breakup. I've decided I'm going to ask him to stay at his own apartment while I think things through. I'm disgusted and so hurt. Edit. I really appreciate all the comments here and I am going to have a talk with him first thing today and put an end to things. It's causing me a lot of pain to dump him, to be honest, because I do love him. But what he did is so cruel. Thank you again for all the advice. I'm reading all the comments here and they're all super helpful and something I really need right now. Most of you are being really kind here. But for those of you who are messaging me, asking me things like if I'm stupid or if I have any self-respect, are you for real? Also, don't expect any replies whatsoever. I have enough emotional trauma going on without having to entertain your cruelty. He kept insisting I look better with the weight and he wasn't open about it because I'd react exactly how I'm reacting now. He just fully admitted he doesn't care about you or what you want. You exist as a fetish for him and now he's irritated because your desires aren't aligning with what he wants. Dump him immediately. Yep, 100%. I lied to you because I know what I was proposing would be a violation of your boundaries and wants. Literally similar something happened to me with my exes, and they gaslit me so badly it really messed with my body image. Let me be clear. This kind of behavior is frowned upon even in the fetishism fetish community. Why? Because he did it without your consent. He mistreated your body without you knowing all to fulfill his fetish. That's selfish in the extreme, to say the least. You can do better than him. Better than this. You want to lose weight and be healthy, do exactly that. Drop him and focus on you. You deserve it. You should be considering the relationship. Breaks aren't a thing. You need to just break up. This. I hate it when people say let's take a break. If you feel like you need to take a break from your relationship, as in reassessing it, you just need to break up. If you're that far in doubt about your relationship working out, it's time to call it quits. I can see you taking a break from your partner physically, as in needing alone time. That's fine. But if it's a break like what I described, it's time to end it. That's what my instinct says, to be honest. But while talking, he did claim that I'm kink-shaming and dismissing his preferences. Fetishism is really something I don't know much about at all. I read up some stuff on the internet which sounded really bad. Downright cruel if you ask me. I don't know if I should give it another chance and see if I can understand it at all or just walk away. He made you participate in his kink, non-consensually. For how long? Months? A year? That is so foul. It's not about him having a kink. It's about him forcing you to be subject to it without your knowledge or consent, and the fact that it is harmful to you and he did this knowing it would harm you. Please be strong and don't let him pull this out over your eyes. A couple of months. I had joined a neighborhood gym because I could finally afford to, and the trainers were super helpful and kind, and I made friends as well, which was great for my mental health. I still cannot believe he did this. I'm going to be ending things as this is not something I can, or should have to, move on from as if it's nothing. Now for the final update. Hi, thank you so much for expressing concern. I spoke to him and asked him to pack his things and leave. He was upset, but he didn't flip or anything. I tried to insist that he will work on this and not do anything against my wishes again, but I just couldn't look at him the same. After a while, he became overly affectionate too, but I managed to stand my ground. Eventually, he left. I've blocked him everywhere and called a few friends to stay over tonight. I'm so glad to read this. He is a bad person, to put it bluntly. If you can swing it, a therapist may be able to help you process this. It could also be worth exploring with them why you were with this guy in the first place when there were already multiple other worrying aspects to the relationship. He's 13 years older than you. Age gaps can be fine, but they're commonly bad news when a younger person is mid-20s or less, like you, because there's such a difference in maturity and life experience. It's not unusual for the older person to take advantage of their younger partner's naivety and manipulate and mistreat them. It sounds like he got with you pretty quickly after leaving his last long-term relationship. So quickly that he was still living with his ex. In one bedroom home in which they shared a bed. Multiple levels of red flags here. But you also said he was starting to live at your place recently. That's moving pretty fast. How long had you two even been together, considering he still had a place with his ex? I'm not trying to make you feel worse, or like you're in any way at fault or deserving of his behavior. You're not. We aren't born knowing better, and obviously your judgment isn't all bad, considering you recognized something was amiss enough to post here about, and you broke up with that dirtbag. But it sounds like you have a bit of a blind spot, and it might be valuable to figure out why. Now for the last story. My 30 male wife, 28 female, changed dramatically after getting married. My wife and I dated for about 6 years. We are fairly different and come from very different backgrounds, but had what I thought was a really strong relationship. We got married and everything seemed wonderful, until while on our honeymoon, she casually mentioned that she wished we hadn't gotten married. I was blindsided by the comment. But when I questioned her on it, she said she just meant that it felt like we were so young to be a married couple. On that same trip, she mentioned that she no longer wanted to live in the state where my family was, but instead closer to her family. We had talked before getting married at length of trying to eventually live in my family's state. I was initially upset, but given that it's fair to want to be near your own family, I said okay, as long as we live somewhere with a good airport so I could still travel to visit my family. After we got back from the honeymoon, she stopped saying I love you. If I said it, she might mumble it back, but most often would give a mm-hmm. When I asked her about it, she said that she didn't feel we needed to say it to each other because we both know that we love each other. I told her that I felt I needed to hear it, especially after her comments on wishing we hadn't gotten married. She told me that we were just different in that way. About a month later, she told me that she no longer wanted biological children. She has never wanted to be pregnant and have kids herself, but we had long talked about using a surrogate. She knew that having kids was a super important thing for me, a deal breaker even. She says she changed her mind on surrogate since the wedding, about 2 months, because she thinks it's unethical to pay for another person to go through the ordeals of childbirth. She's open to adoption, but I really want to have a biological child. She told me this last bit tearfully, I think because she knows how much of an issue it is for me. With how many big things she's told me over the brief time we've been married, I'm starting to get the impression that she wants me to divorce her, but is too afraid to do it herself. I think she fell out of love with me a while ago, but got stuck in the whirlwind of the wedding and couldn't find a way out. We're trying couples counseling, but I'm so hopeless about it. I'm looking for advice on what to do now. Is there a world in which this is salvageable? I was so excited for a life together, and now I can't imagine what my life is going to look like. I'm also horrified about being a divorced 30-year-old. My wife is such a big part of my life. It intertwined with all of my social and family circles. My family is going to be absolutely crushed and a bit miffed that they spent north of $50,000 on the wedding just a few months ago. Now for the top advice. Get an annulment and move on. The good thing is that your diagnosis is spot on and she sees it too. They don't just annul marriages left and right. This would be a divorce scenario. Yeah, I thought I read, for my state, an annulment means you haven't consummated a marriage. Could be too late for Opie by now since they went on their honeymoon. It's one of the requirements to file for annulment in my state. There are other reasons that qualify for annulment also, like underage, one or both parties still have active marriage elsewhere, and mental incompetence. Opie, laws vary by state, so do research on your state's rule if you are in the USA. It's free and easy to Google. Then contact an attorney. Most of them will give you free first meeting or phone call consultation. Good luck and sorry you married a bait and switcher. I hope all the best for you as you move on with life. Money's a material object. I'm sure your family doesn't care about the $50,000 at the end of the day. They will care that you are happy in life, be it being divorced or not. You should have gotten the marriage annulled right after your honeymoon. She clearly did not want to be married. She dropped red flag after red flag like it was an awful soccer match. What conversations did you have before you were married? She just changed her mind right after? Get out, sooner rather than later. This can't be life. You don't have to be forced to live a life you didn't bargain for. Classic bait and switch. She thinks she's got your marriage trapped, and you won't bother to break up now, so you'll just have to take whatever crap she wants to demand. File for divorce because it's not going to get any better. I'm sorry you're going through this. Go find a better life for yourself. It's out there. She doesn't want to be married. She did want the wedding, her special day. She got what she wanted and now all of you agreed to want she's reneging on. Divorce now before you add children to the mix. I'd look into an annulment since it's so recent. You can be a divorced 30-year-old, free to find someone who truly wants the same things you do. Or in 20 years, you can be a divorced 50-year-old who finally got fed up living with a lying con artist. But at that point, it'd be too late to live the life you really want to. Divorced 39-year-old here. Hi, you absolutely can find that. If that's a fear you have, OP, shelve it.